This is asking me to write a function named sum call max. So I'll do the beginning of it the same way I would any functions, def sum call max. It takes one parameter, a nested list. And it looks like in the example, the list that's passed to it is called L. So I'll call this one L as well, just to keep it simple. I wouldn't want to call it something like J and then get confused trying to think of like, well, what's J in the example? Oh, they call it L. Okay. So sum call max, it returns the sum of the maximum of each element in the 2D list. And it's supposed to call the function getCallMax. So this is referring to another problem. Apparently getCallMax returns the maximum of the individual column. So we have a little tool that figures out the maximum. Apparently, we could go to that problem and check. I've checked for you. That's what it does, getCallMax. And the way we would use getCallMax is we would pass it the same list and then give it the column number. So this would getCallMax for the nested list L at column J. So this is just doing the accumulator pattern, right? I would do answer equals 0, return answer, and then I am just calling getCallMax repeatedly for every column. Column 0, column 1, column 2. So I have to figure out how to loop over all the columns. If I just loop over like L, that loops over the rows, right? It would loop over the things in L, which are themselves rows. So if I want to loop over this, it's probably enough for me to like pick out the first list if I assume it's square and say, hey, for column in range. So the first row is L0. So for range in len L at index 0, that gives me the first row. The len of any row gives me how many columns there are. When I use the range function, this variable called call will go 0, then 1, then 2. So now I can call that getCallMax to say, let's make answer bigger by the maximum. Get call max, where I want to give it L and then the index of the column, which is COL. There we go. Just the normal accumulator pattern. I have my accumulator variable. I'm growing it each time. But this little trick that I need to be able to navigate my way around a two-dimensional list to figure out how to index into the columns. If I want to index into the rows, well, that's just the len of L. But if I want to index into the columns, I could have indexed into each row and then used that to index into each column, but if I index into each row and then further index into each column, I run the risk of doing this sum too many times. Look, I really want to have my loop go like the blue arrows, not like some combination of do the blue arrows for every red row. I just want to do the blue column arrows once.